Why is this dude? No, Cornell West went berserk.
I've only seen him do that on one other occasion. Actually, that might have been the video. It was on CNN or something like that, wasn't it?
I think he was well. He was on. I think he was on Fox, and Cornell West was talking to. I know I got the video in my library. In my Cornell West was talking to the host, and then when the host brought Leo on, Cornell West was like, he just. I mean, the dude didn't even say nothing. And Cornell West is going off. Check yourself. Check yourself, Negro.
Yeah, I
Check
know the video you're
yourself,
talking
Negro.
about. I know the one you're talking about. He was all in the camera like this.
Dude, he was going crazy. I'm like, dude, no, calm down.
Nah,
Oh,
he's
he was like, not on the anniversary of George Floyd. I
right.
won't let you do it.
Yep, I did see
The
that one.
anniversary, the anniversary of George Floyd. What's this? A holiday?
Hey, it will be before long.
Right.
It will be before long. I mean, if they'll make Martin Luther King Day a holiday. The thing is like when you look at George Floyd, who, I mean, let's not get it twisted. He was an unemployed drug addict who, I mean, it was just an unfortunate day for him. And he tried to, I mean, to put it nicely, it was just an unfortunate day. It was just an unfortunate day for him. And
He had a bad day.
it just wasn't his day. And
What? He thought he'd be able to wake up, do his dope, have a good day, get high, use the counterfeit 20, go smoke some more. He's playing a normal day for a dope feed. And this took a third for the
I mean, it just wasn't his day. Perhaps if he would have gone to a different convenience store,
Yes, a different store where they didn't know him. They
right?
didn't know who he was.
Perhaps it would have worked out for him, but it didn't. And the media has a way of driving a certain narrative, and nobody challenges it. Well, people do challenge it, but they get ignored. And then, unfortunately, I mean, I hate to admit it, but a lot of black people just go along with it. And all you need is the validation of the black population in order for something to be legitimized. And so goes the rest of history. And so for that reason, I don't think it's before long that we'll see a George Floyd holiday. I really don't. Even with this Tyree Nichols guy, it's strange to me that there was a lot of buildup for the releasing of the video. And then by the time they released them, you saw bits and pieces of it. And, from what I've seen, it's obviously not a good look. You had the
Yeah.
police officers holding this guy while one was punching him and things of that nature. But for me, for some reason, I can't bring myself, and I don't care what color the person is, the cops are, the individual who's being beat up on. I frankly don't care as much about that as much as I do about the whole story. And to the extent that the media selectively releases bits and pieces, I can't bring myself to be swayed one way or the other or join any kind of bandwagon based upon limited information that the media is releasing a little bit at a time. And so it's just interesting to see how many people are so ready to take a definite stance on. I mean, it's not a good look whenever you see these police officers beating up on this guy like that. And I can agree to that. But at the same time, my mind instantly goes to like, what's the whole story? What really happened? Because from what it looked like to me, there were tensions that were built that were already high by the time the camera started rolling, whether it be the body cam or the sky cam or what have you. There was already a kind of issue and turbulence that has already brewed up well before, that camera started rolling. And my curiosity instantly goes to, well, where's the rest of the story? You know what I'm saying? What about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I know that when they said, we're gonna air the body cam at 8 p.m. Make sure you're at home. Make sure you fix something to eat. Make sure you all clean down. You can enjoy the show. I mean, it's almost like Then they're like, okay, you guys can protest, just do it. It's like they almost set up the whole scenario.
Right.
And I listened to some guys talking on this, I guess, one podcast, and the one guy said, "Listen, if I take away the uniforms, this is just another viral video of black people fighting." He said,
True.
it's a world star moment. Like he said, people only care about this because they're in uniform. He said any other scenario, it's just a viral video.
Right.
And my point was, well, y'all are putting all the emphasis on this quote unquote murder, but it's folks in Memphis getting killed every day.
Mm-hmm.
The homicide rate is the 4th highest in the country. So I'm just trying to wrap my mind around how this is so important. People keep saying, well, it's the police, but I'm like, but I thought murder was murder. I thought if it's wrong, it's wrong.
Right.
But now because they're black, it's internalized race. And then LeBron James, the only bright spot of this was LeBron James saying, we do each other the worst, and black Twitter just roasting him. Like that's the only bright spot in all of this. Telling him to shut up and dribble. Like black folks telling LeBron shut up and dribble. It's beautiful. Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the silver lining in all of it, I guess. So the title of this live today is LGBT Goes to Africa. Have you you remember those movies in the 90s, Earl? Was it Earl? Or was it I forget the name of the guy, but Earl goes to Kansas or Earl goes to whatever. Basically he's in a different context, and each movie is about, I'm going to look that up.
Let me
Earl
see.
goes to jail. Or no, it's not Earl. What is it?
Ernest,
yeah. Ernest goes to, yeah. So LGBT, it's been around obviously for, like, the actual organization has been around for a long time, since the 60s, 70s. You had gay liberation movement, and it showed up in the West. It showed up in Australia, America, other places. And now it's showing up in different parts of Africa. And I came across this video. This video is actually kind of old. I think it's 8 or 9 years old. But I watched it today, and I thought it was the most hilarious thing that I've seen in a long time. Obviously, apart from the things that you post on your IG and in your lives, which what I like about your channel is that it's just the perfect combination of humor and just real depth. You know what I mean? And very few people have the skill that you have to do exactly what you do on your IG and YouTube. I don't say that to flatter you or to puff up your head, but it's facts. But when I was watching this video, I instantly thought of you, Cool Heem and Chuck. Now, Cool Heem will be joining us tonight. However, Chuck will not. But the show must go on. So let's see here. I'm going to try to. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play clip 1 from LGBT Goes to Africa.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr? Sure. Pepe Julian Onzima. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good
having
morning.
me. Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay. You are a transgender.
What shows that I'm gay?
You are a transgender, and
Yes,
you're a
I am.
gay rights activist and an outspoken lesbian, homosexual. How can I describe you?
I am Pepe Julian Onzima. I'm an LGBTI activist. I'm a human rights defender, currently focusing on LGBTI issues.
You were initially male or female?
The sex that was assigned to me at birth was female.
And you opted to become male?
Not exactly opting. It's something that I have been since I was young. But yeah, in terms of expression, it's who I am now.
So as we stand today, are you dating any female?
Yes, I am.
You have a girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
While in transition, you're having a girlfriend.
Yes.
Do you perform the natural obligations?
I'm not sexually active right now.
So what are you
By
doing with
choice.
this lady?
By choice.
By choice.
Yeah. I've just not, I've chosen not to engage.
Doesn't that make you gay?
What do you mean, doesn't that make me gay? I am male and attracted to a female.
So who is gay?
I described a gay person earlier.
Someone attracted to
The same sex.
To the same sex.
Yeah. Mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually.
Have you seen that clip before?
Yes, man. Africa doesn't grasp culturally this whole LGBT at all. Like he was confused, like, but you're gay. It's like, no, that's gay. He was looking at her like, what? And she said LGBTI.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess intersectional and
Yeah, intersex. Basically, she says that to use the term hermaphrodite is derogatory, so they don't use that term, and they choose to use the word intersex instead to explain someone who is born with both male and female sex organs, which is extremely rare.
yeah.
So that was clip number one, to give everyone an introduction to. I mean, this whole thing is an hour long. Of course, I'm not going to play the whole hour, but I did have some highlights that I wanted to get to get Blanche's response to. Have you seen the whole thing?
No, I've just seen probably up until that point.
Yeah.
He was like, why are you gay?
Why are you gay?
You are gay. Like, and you know what's funny? Like, from a cultural standpoint, all they really understand is gay. All that extra non-binary, they like, man, gay. They like, you gay. Like, she trying to talk about she doing this, and he's like, you gay. I don't know nothing about that. Intersex, non-binary, none of it, gay.
Amazing. All right. Where do these clips go? All right, here's clip number 2.
I am within transition.
You're within transition.
Yes.
Now we're looking at the raging debate. You're a gay rights activist. Why should someone be gay?
Just for the record, I am not a gay rights activist. I believe there's nothing like gay rights. There is human rights. There is human rights. And there are humans who are gay and those who are not gay. So I'm a human rights activist who is advocating for equality for even people who have different sexual orientation or gender identity.
You're right. He's just looking at her like, I'm really, I'm really trying to understand where you're coming from, but all I hear is words.
He's like, no, you're gay. She's like, I'm a human rights. He's like, you know, it's crazy because it's such a cultural difference. The whole LGBTQ movement is pretty American and Europe. Like Africa is not like, no.
Right.
She's an anomaly over there. She's not. Yeah. She's by herself over there pretty much. Talking about she's a human rights activist. She's not. It's not a whole bunch of folks supporting her. I guarantee.
Yeah. No, there's definitely not anybody supporting her. What's up, Heem? How are you, man?
I'm good. What's up with y'all,
Heem,
man?
what's up?
What's up? What's good, man?
Yeah.
You are gay. Who said I'm gay? You're gay.
That's how we started off.
He's
Soon as
like,
I
I'm
came in.
transitioning. He was like, you transitioning. I'm transitioning. He was like, you transitioning. He's confused. Like, what are
Mhm.
No, but so
you talking about?
when she said that, because he said, okay, so you're a gay rights activist, and she said, well, you know, I'm not a gay rights activist. I'm a human rights activist. And basically, what she's trying to do is she's trying to normalize homosexuality and queerness and all these different things. She's trying to normalize it in Africa by calling it human rights. They did this very same thing here in the United States. The fact of the matter is, you don't have a lot of people in the United States uh, going around trying to find a gay person to beat up and harass. That's just not happening. However, that is the impression that these people try to depict and the narrative they try to drive so as to get special privileges in the United States through law. And you know, I think that yes, black people get a lot of special privileges. There's a lot of stuff that black people can get away with in America that, you know, whites and others can't get away with. But I think the LGBTs, they get even more special privileges than do blacks. What are your guys' take on that? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I where am I at on that in your guys' eyes?
Go ahead, he.
So LGBTQ, that's the alphabet community is a community that I've seen develop and advance faster than any community on the face of the earth. I remember one day I was young and I heard somebody say, "Yeah, man, they're gay. You gotta, we accept those people." And next thing you know, people can identify as fences and fire hydrants, um, and screwdrivers. And I think that's the fact, and that happened within a 10-year span, like 15-year span. I would say 15-year span, because what really brought attention to the alphabet community was Obama passing those laws for them. And that development was the fastest I've ever seen. So I agree with what you're saying, Chad. They somehow attached themselves to the blackness movement and benefited more from the blackness movement than actual black people, which I think was the development of blackness. I believe that's what its purpose was
Yeah.
all along.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with both of you all. You know, I always say this, that the trans community is going to be at the top. They're
Mhm.
going to be.
Yeah.
You look at it, even in the movement, they get all the attention. Like the trans community is allowed to get away with everything. They can go into the schools and strip. I mean, they can pretty much do what they want to do with no kind of recourse. So yeah, the LGBTQ community in America is privileged. It's beyond white privilege, beyond black privilege. They have something that's like, I guess what they call it, gender privilege. I don't know, identity privilege. But if you think about it, just think about it in 10 years, though, if at this trajectory, where will they be in 10 years? Like they're going to be, you go to a job, they're going to be in all the leadership positions, all the management, on all the movies, all the, I don't know how they're going to do sports, but they might do sports. I don't know. But I'm just saying, they made super advanced, like he said, just in the past is what, 1969?
Yep.
Stonewall in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You think about that. I mean, they've lapped black people about 4 or 5 times already. Like,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I have this clip from I think it was 1971. The man's name is Dennis Altman, and this is from Australian news.
Dennis Altman's argument is a far-reaching and contentious one, that gay is as good as straight. And that, of course, is also the language of the militant homosexual reform movement in the United States, known as gay lib.
You come along with your book and say, we are a threat to society, we are out to revolutionise society, to change things quite radically.
What, of course, is challenging is certain aspects of society. Gay liberation, it seems to me, is a challenge to the masculine ethos that somehow sees something good in violence. It's a challenge to the idea that masculinity is proven by going out and beating up people. In many cases, of course, beating up pufters.
You go, that's not quite fair. When you issue the challenge, in your book you say, we represent the most blatant challenge of all to the mores of a society organised around belief in the family, or the nuclear family, and sharply differentiated sex differences. You're attacking more than violence, you're attacking the family.
Sure. I think that there's obviously a breaking down of sharp differences between male and female roles in our society, and I agree with that. I think that everyone is inherently bisexual.
Blanche, your thoughts?
Well, his last statement, inherently bisexual, what's a bold statement? Well, you notice his goal ultimately was to challenge the family structure.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, I think the most masculine aspect of a man is being a father.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, you'd have to get rid of that to push any kind of agenda that dealt with gender and identity and sexuality and stuff. But to say that everybody is innately or inherently bisexual is to say that everybody is essentially gay.
Right.
And if you're not acting on that quote unquote gay, you're just fighting, who you really are. So yeah. So if everybody's bisexual, then that pretty much gets rid of man and woman and child in the household.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So what he was doing is exactly what you're saying. He's laying the groundwork for what was to come and what is here and now, where if you're because when I was in school, I grew up in the 90s and I graduated from high school in 2008. So the 90s going into the early 2000s. And we had a lot of tomboys. We had girls who wore pants and played sports and they were kind of rough around the edges. Those same girls today are very feminine, beautiful women who are married with children, right? Had those girls been going to school in today's public schools, they would be encouraged to really, their tomboyness will be exploited in such a way that they will be convinced that they are lesbians or queer or whatever the case may be, whatever words you're using these days. So when I watched that clip that I just played from 1971, it's clear to me that Dennis Altman and the so-called gay liberation movement, they're laying the groundwork for what's to come, blurring the lines between male and female, as he put it, tearing down this masculinity. And he's building a straw man. Oh, it's violent. It's beating up people, right? He's talking about this perception of masculinity rather than what masculinity actually is, as you said, Blanche, being a father, being a good man who works and takes care of his family. That's what masculinity is. So what the gay liberation movement does, what the LGBT movement does is actually kind of slick. They depict or portray this image of masculinity and in such a disgusting way, in such a repulsive way, first and foremost, to convince boys that it's bad to be a man, that it's bad to be masculine. And on the other hand, they try to blur the lines between male and female so as to lay the groundwork to encourage this kind of gender fluidity that is, in a sense, changing the way that future generations identify and the roles, male and female roles that we have to fulfill for the longevity of a civilized society. What say you, Kulheem?
I agree. What's funny about that is that when you say that, it's gotten to a point where being a man is toxic. I was riding with some friends from Luray Caverns one time, and we had stopped around my side of town, and I'm the only guy there. I'm with all women, right? But there's one girl who identifies as I don't know. She was gay, but she was gay, but she also strung along more of the male side. So she gave off the male, tried to give off the male persona. And then all the other girls that are there supporting this. So we stop at a questionable gas station. And all the girls want to go use the bathroom, right? And I'm like, I know this area. Let me go ahead and get out, see if everything's all right. Let me go talk to the gas station. Let me go talk to the guy that's inside and just see if everything's okay. Let me go grab the key for you guys, you know, because it's like a little key you open to the outside bathroom. I go inside, I get the key, I come back out, and I give them the key. I'm like, all right, yeah, everything's cool. I checked it out, everything's good. Now, me, I did this just out of the way I was raised, you know, because I was raised to protect. You know, I was raised to make sure the woman is taken care of. You go first. You're on the front lines.
Mm-hmm.
When I got back in the car, the girls ended up going to the bathroom, and someone actually ended up talking to me. I was like, yeah, they just kind of just bashed you in this car. And I was like, huh? I was like, how? I said, what happened? Did I do something wrong? It was like, when I got out, it was off the, nobody asked him to, you know, you know, mansplain and trying to be a man. And, nobody asked him to protect us and da 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 da. And, it was frowned upon that I did it. When, like about 20, you know, what, 15 years ago, it would have been like, okay, your parents raised you right, you know, around the right person. And then I also hear a lot of women saying this: why can't you just be gay? Has anyone ever heard that one?
Yep, I have.
Why can't you just be gay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what in the world? What has happened? So that right there, just hearing that little clip right there is just let me know where they started doing the groundwork,
Mm-hmm.
so that they could produce these women that would be that would go so hard and support so much this alphabet letter community agenda.
Yeah. Here's a picture of the gentleman in the video who I just played. His name is Dennis Altman.
Oh,
He's still alive today.
oh,
What
oh!
what's the
That picture
thing
gives
you
away a
notice?
lot.
So yeah, you see him. He's holding up the Marxist fist. That gives you a pretty good indication of who he is and what he's about. He's written on gay liberation. And one of the things that stick out to me, even without seeing that picture, even without knowing anything about him, just listening to what he's saying, both in that clip and from some of the things that he wrote, this whole movement is heavily steeped in Marxism. And I know, like, you know, those of you who watch me, Marxism is one of those things I'm always talking about. But Marxism is a story of the 20th century. It just is. You saw it, again, show up in various parts of Asia, in Russia. You had the Russian Revolution in 1917, which Marxism was at the core of it. You saw Marxism show up in the United States through many subversive ways. You saw it show up in the Black liberation movement for civil rights. You saw it show up in a lot of the workers' unions. You saw it show up in the progressive era in the early 1900s. And it shaped the way curriculum is carried out in our public schools. And in my opinion, it drastically shifted Black America and the Black consciousness to where men used to be men, and now I don't know what the state of the Black man is today, at least the perception of the Black man, as a result of this kind of subversion that has gone on. The next clip I wanted to play was not as long, but I thought it was quite interesting.
Hold on one second, Chad.
Yeah, go ahead.
Heem, your mic is echoing. You got something else open?
No, it's just I'm doing it through the phone. Should I not do it through the phone?
Hold on real
Because
quick.
you were echoing at first.
Oh, he's echoing? I heard him clear, but you're saying there's like little clicks or something?
No, I'm hearing like it's like an echo. I hear like an echo.
Okay. Comment in the comment section.
Going on, but I'm muted.
Okay. Comment in the comment section if you hear myself, Blanche, or Heem echoing, let us know. All right, so here we go. Whoops, there it is.
Is this a disorder?
Absolutely
something
not.
natural?
It's not. We have records from the World Health Organization. You know, a team of experts who also thought it was a mental disorder. And later on, it was scraped off the list of disorders. And I'm not just using that as an SI unit or a yardstick to say that it's not a disorder, but it also backs up the fact that it's not a disorder. I have lived for a certain period of time. I lived as a gay person because it was the easiest way for me to come out to my family to say I'm a lesbian and not a transgender. You see.
And how did it feel?
What?
Being gay then?
It's normal. I mean, it's human. There's nothing strange about it. What is strange about it is the way people react when you tell them you're not like them.
Okay, so y'all heard that. Hold on real quick. Let me see here. I'm wondering if the echo that people are hearing is from my mic. I just put in my AirPods, so let me just make sure it's connected before we move on. Okay. Go ahead and say something, Blanche, real quick.
Testing, 1, 2.
It's not connected. All right, say it again.
Testing, 1, 2.
Good Lord.
Am I still echoing?
Yeah, because my mic is picking y'all up. It says my AirPods are connected, but for some reason I can still hear y'all. I might have to just change the setting, but all right, well, okay. So basically, in that clip that we just played, I don't know if y'all caught it, but okay, I got y'all now. So I don't know if y'all caught it, but she was saying that, because he asked, is what you're doing, like, is it a disorder? Like this whole trans thing and this LGBT thing, is it a disorder? And she says, no, it's not a disorder because the WHO confirmed that it's not a disorder. So she invokes the expert class. You know what I mean? These people who form these organizations and these government bureaucracies who go by various acronyms. And because they said it's not a disorder, it isn't a disorder. She then says that their original thought on, homosexuality, such and so forth, was that it was a disorder, but then they have later changed their mind. And if you know anything about these so-called experts, is that's exactly what they do. Not only do they do it that way, but the politicians do it that way too. To the extent that you have the experts or the politicians originally taking a stand that is consistent with traditional views, they do so disingenuously. It's the same thing when Barack Obama originally said that he thinks marriage is between a man and a woman. When he said that, he wasn't honest about that. He was just saying, again, what was traditionally acceptable in Western society, Western culture. These people have agendas, and those agendas are to secularize society to the extent that we begin to adopt values that are abnormal. And so these expert organizations like the WHO, they might take a stance, once again, that's consistent with traditional values. But then after they have secured your trust as a population, they then say, well, we've done the studies, we've done the research, and what we've actually found is that it's not a disorder, that's actually normal. And because you already trust them because of their expert status, you then believe them. And so by the end of that clip, what does she say? She says, we're not the problem. Society is the problem for not accepting us. It's kind of like, for example, if a woman, well, let's say, yeah, if a woman decides to put on very, skimpy clothing and, thigh-high stripper boots that are 12 inches off the, she's 12-inch heels or what have you, and a bra where you can see her nipples through it, a big face tattoo, a neck tattoo, like huge earrings and some dark colored contacts and just purple hair and pigtails. If she were to walk into a corporate business meeting, so to speak, full of people who are wearing suits and are dressed, business casual, they will look at her like, who are you and why are you here? Now, left to these people, they would say that she's not the problem because she's just being who she is. The people who are the problem are the individuals who are already in this business meeting, dressed business casual or wearing a suit. They are the problem because they don't accept this person. And you begin to kind of see the cultural manipulation that goes on with these so-called marginalized groups. When it comes to a person like a Michael Brown, for example, who died at the, who got into a tiff with a police officer where he tried to take the police officer's gun and he ended up dying, the narrative that the media began to go with is he died because he was black. Never mind the fact that he had just robbed a store and he was trying to fight a police officer and take his gun, right? So these people want us to think that his blackness is the problem, not his actions. They want us to think that a person who is dressed weird and who is dressed provocatively going into a business meeting, that person's not the problem. Society is a problem for not accepting them. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? I think you're muted, Blanche.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's the same. So like you said with Michael Brown, it's not his actions, it's his skin color that's the problem. And then you flip it, they're going to say it's not my gender or identification, it's society. It's the rules you all put in place. It's the biases. It's all these things. It's funny because even the notion to ask someone to accept is to infringe. Mm-hmm. We're talking about a very small percentage of the population saying that we want all of you all, which is everybody else, to get on board when it comes to us. So essentially you'd be controlling all of humanity when it came to you. So in other words, you want everybody to accept you at the same time. So that means if I go into a corporate space, accept me, sporting event, accept me, out to have fun, accept me, military, accept me, business. Like, so essentially you now control society. And on top of controlling it, you're the one turning the knob. So on Monday, it's, okay, accept me for wearing the dress. Then on Tuesday, it's accept me for taking the dress off. Then on Wednesday, it's accept me for dancing. Then on Thursday, you know what I'm saying? So they're the ones that's controlling society at that point. Much like blackness is, if blackness is not to be held accountable, then now that one lady, she just did those two racist tweets. Yeah. Said that whiteness is evil and white folks are more dangerous than animals. Like those tweets, she said they're factual. Mm-hmm. White people are more dangerous than animals is a factual statement, and white is evil is a fact. And people are clapping and applauding. That's a problem though. Because if black can't be held accountable, then what's going to happen in 20 years? What does black look like in 20 years of no accountability? You know what I'm saying? So flip side to that, what is the LGBTQ movement in 20 years with having all the leverage? So I don't know. I just think that we're treading on dangerous waters. And one more thing about Michael Brown before I let Kuhim go. I remember when they interviewed Michael Brown's cousin, like the day after or something that it happened. And his cousin said And I'll never forget this. He said we were walking in the middle of the street, and the police officer rode in the middle of the street. He was driving, and he told us to get out the street and get on the sidewalk. And he said he went past them. He said, but then he backed the car up before we could get on the sidewalk. And I said, there it goes right there. That police officer drove by and said, get out the street. And y'all kept walking in the street because y'all didn't listen to him. Then when he backed the car up, that's when the whole issue started. But I remember telling somebody I was there at the time, I said, that was a problem right there. And she couldn't even see that act of defiance is bad because you're not supposed to be in the street walking. There's cars coming. Like, why are y'all walking in the middle of the street? But the fact that they didn't get on the sidewalk started that whole, but guess what the narrative is? That doesn't mean they deserve to die. So now you just get rid of all their behavior and actions and just say, now it's just back to they ain't deserve to die. And it's this whole thing about something else which is not really about defying authority.
Exactly. And the thing about it is if the police officer who killed Michael Brown really was a racist who wanted, these black kids dead, well, they weren't kids, they were grown men at the time. But if he was really somebody who wanted them dead, then wouldn't it be the case that he, upon him seeing these black young men walking down the street, in the middle of the street, wouldn't he just keep going and hope that they get ran over? Why would he tell them to get out of the street if he was really a racist who wanted black people to die? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
So they brought a pastor onto the show when they were interviewing this black feminist activist LGBT, and here's what that looked like.
Well, we have Pastor Semper online, an anti-gay activist, to tell us his side of the story.
Unfortunately, Pepe is a young woman who is suffering from gender identity disorder. She is a girl who has been misled and confused to think she's a man. And so you can see the way she's dressing, the way she's coming across, is trying to be a man. But Pepe, for me as a psychologist,
isn't that
I
an
know
insult
that there
to
are
someone's
people,
choice?
we have so many young girls who suffer from this. It is a disorder, and some of these people, they press their breasts or they go and get their breasts cut off, they cut their hair, then you end up with a pretty looking young lady who is acting like a man. So what they need, these are people who are suffering from mental disorder. They need psychological, psychiatrical, and spiritual help. And the department Butabika for people like this one, so that they can be helped to come out of their madness.
Pastor,
Yes.
why don't you sympathize with such people who do not opt, but who are naturally, according to Onzima, he feels it's a natural calling for them to be men or for him to be what he is now?
There is nothing natural about using boya and biringanya in your private part. There is nothing natural about putting a man's genital inside another man's excretory system. There is nothing natural about Onzima be denying us a chance to have children and grandchildren. There is nothing natural at all about sodomy. It is a genocide. And when you add sodomy to HIV, you come up with a black genocide of Africans. There is nothing natural. This is a boy, this is a girl trying to act like a boy. But these people are sick.
Pastor, excuse me,
These
Pastor.
people are sick. They need,
Pastor,
not only do they need our sympathy,
Pastor, can
they
I
need
ask you
us
to
to
stay
guide them.
online? Can I ask you to stay online? Then we hear from Onzima. Onzima, could you react to Pastor Semper?
No, I
He
will
sounds
not.
very
I
abrasive.
will not. I choose not to react and give Semper audience. I am not going to react to what he's saying.
Do you
Please,
feel
you see,
offended?
she's afraid of the truth.
Do you feel offended?
The truth is, this is a young woman who is confused to think that she's a
Pastor,
boy.
why don't you sound
Okay.
sympathetic to a man who seems to be going through a transition of sorts?
Lord have mercy.
He was trolling. You calling her a man now? Like first she was like you gay, but now she a man. Now I said, come on, he's trolling. He was
Oh,
trolling. This man, you are not sympathetic to this man. Come on.
oh, my sides hurt. What say you, Kohim?
Yo, he cooked her. He got me, man. He cooked her like I was like. He kept going in, but that that's funny. That's what I love about African people. African people tell it like it is. They don't hold back nothing. They're going to say it explicitly, and they're going to articulate their words down to every syllable. They're going to pronounce every syllable in the word to make sure that they get their point across. And I find that to be hilarious. That man cooked her with the truth.
Yeah.
He told her exactly what it was. You got a problem, dog, and this is why I find America. This is why I find it surprising when a lot of people, you got women, transgender, let's just say alphabet community people, and just weaklings, saying that America is an oppressive nation. It's an oppressive country. It is. It's hard to live here, and they want to leave. They can't stand it. They can't take it here. Oh, woe is me every time I wake up. I got a chip on my shoulder when I walk out the door every morning. I wake up and go through my day. I said you wouldn't last a second in these foreign countries where they're not having it. They're not gonna have the BS in these other countries. In Africa, they're not having that. They're gonna look at you and be like, "What?" Like with Matt Walsh. And what is a woman? They went to the African tribe. I forgot what country it was in Africa, and he was like, he said, "Have you heard?" He was like, you ever heard of like a transgender? He was asking them questions, and he was like, they was all looking at each other like, "Nah." When you're a woman, you're a woman, and if you're a man, you're a man. You do this as a man, and you do this as a woman. He hit him with the Black Panther. We don't do that here. It's actually pretty refreshing to hear that. I just love it. It's like I'm in ecstasy. It's music to my ears when I hear the truth and people grilling people with the truth, because that's how people need it. They need a shock. They need to be thrown in some cold water.
Yeah.
An ice bucket challenge, if you will. They need that for their lives. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So man, that bit is always hilarious. He said, "Why are you gay? You are gay." That part will forever be legendary. But that clip is always hilarious.
No, I didn't detect any lies in what the pastor was saying, and he later came into the actual interview because they had him on the phone at first, but he later just came in and he came with a bag of goodies. I don't know if y'all saw that part, but I'm about to get to.
You see that?
I have not seen it, man.
I gotta see that part. That's crazy. So he was on his way to the studio.
Yeah, because you heard you heard. I don't know if y'all heard the cars honking in the background and it sounded like a train. He was walking to the studio while he was on the phone. Almost got ran over.
I will be there in a moment.
I just left the grocery store.
I will be there to cook some more.
All right, so
what else was he saying? He said, "I said the white man did not demand me."
So this is the president of Uganda a few years ago. Oops, here we go. This is tripping. Okay, let me try to. I usually listen to stuff on 2 times speed, so let me go ahead and change that setting real quick. So this was the president of Uganda a couple
Did
years
you
ago.
say something, Blake? I think you were muted.
Oh, my bad. Susie Q said I spent a year in Afghanistan and didn't see a single LGBTQ person.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like, but these people will say, oh, it's because they are they're forbidden to come out because they fear for their life. That's the way that they would spin it. But the thing is like, I think one of the things that these countries have that America doesn't is they have the shame element still intact. America
Yeah.
has gotten rid of its shame element in the 1960s with the baby boomers, the young baby boomers, who embraced this kind of new world, this new world order where there's no such thing as shame. I mean, again, the baby boomers are the generation that gave us the second wave feminism, the hippie movement, the free love movement, the Black Panthers, the Weather Underground, the extreme white liberal. That's what the baby boomer has given us. And it was at a time where there was a revolution in music. You had rock and roll. You had, going into the 1970s, blaxploitation and this kind of, even with black music, this kind of revolution type music. And so that's what the 60s and its young folks gave us. And in so doing, they completely demoralized America. And well, they didn't. They were kind of useful idiots to it, because as we later learned with Yuri Bismanoff, there were a lot more intelligent and sinister people who were kind of at the head of it. The young people were just kind of useful idiots, the useful idiots who went along with it. But in so doing, they completely took out the shame element to where we're not ashamed of anything. And so you had not only did you have people who were coming out as gay, but you had, as I alluded to earlier, this kind of encouraging people to be gay. Like, it's normal to be gay. You know what I mean? Everybody's doing it, kind of thing. Whereas in a lot of these countries like Uganda, like Afghanistan, like Vietnam and others, because the shame element is still intact, people know better than to advocate for homosexuality. And to the extent that individuals feel that kind of desire for someone of the same sex, they seek counseling and help because they know it's an abnormality. And of course, I don't see this live staying up on YouTube because I just said that. I'm pretty sure it's going to get banned or what have you. But I mean, it is an abnormality. And it's just sad that you can't speak the truth and you can't speak facts without being deplatformed. But this was the president of Uganda. I think he still is, actually. But he was interviewed by CNN. This is just a small excerpt from that interview.
I can't hear it.
You can't hear it at all, or is it really low?
I can't hear it at all.
Okay. Well, I tried. No, so basically,
Hold on, are you playing it from YouTube?
yes.
You
Yeah, I
should
was
be able.
playing
It
from
should be
YouTube.
able to hear it. Though. You should be able to hear it.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Like whenever I play videos straight from my desktop, like videos that I've already downloaded, you can hear the audio fine, but for some reason, I guess you can't hear it whenever. So you can't hear that right now?
No.
Okay. So she asked him, "Do you personally dislike homosexuals?" And he says, "Yes, they're disgusting." He didn't mix his words. He didn't, hold back. He didn't bat an eye or anything like this. He says, yeah, he said, I didn't know what they did, but somebody explained to me what they did in the bedroom and I didn't believe them. But later I was shown evidence, and what they do is absolutely disgusting. So yeah, I dislike homosexuals. And that's so different than American politicians, because any American politician, Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. They were like, well, I think everybody should just, get along and this, that, and the other. And it's like they're afraid to take a stand on what they believe is right or right and wrong. And it hasn't always been that way in the United States, but it's certainly that way today. So now to the good part. So the pastor actually comes into the interview, and he brings with him a bag of goodies. So we'll see if we can't find that. Here it is.
Legally, is there any legal justification for homosexuality?
I told you I'm a human rights defender. And I see Pastor Semper has come here. When I agreed to come to this show, I spoke to you.
I'm sorry, it's just
He cannot just.
You saw what he brought with him? He laid down that Bible first.
Legally, is there any legal justification for homosexuality?
I told you I'm a human rights defender. And I see Pastor Semper has come here. When I agreed to come to this show, I spoke to you.
I'm sorry, it's just storming.
He cannot just storm in. So if he storms in, I storm out. Thanks for your time. I cannot go on with this debate
Before
anymore.
you go, do you recognize these things?
Pepe, I'm sorry, can you give me a minute?
Pepe, do you recognize some of these things here? These are some of the things they use. I want to give you evidence. You see,
Pastor, aren't you being too harsh to these people? Why for once can't you relax and then think about the pain they go through as society ostracizes them?
She thinks she's a man, but she does not have the equipment to be a man. So what do? To be able to try and penetrate the other person, they use carrots, because it's a carrot. Because it's a matoke.
I think you're being a little
no. Bakozesa mbogoya. Bakozesa bino bichukamba. At Nzembade Murago, I am a counselor. For many years I counsel people like her. When I counsel them, I discover that they have problems. Some of the problems is when you use something like this. So when you use something like this and you put it inside you, you rip your urinary tract areas. When they put it inside there behind, ngabolaba Chris Mubiru. Abana bayulika chetuva tukiita okuvuga olupanga.
But this is a disorder, right? If it's a disorder,
yes.
Do you feel you're handling it the right way?
Yes.
Or you're being too aggressive, too harsh on them?
No. You see, first of all, we have the good Bible that tells us that this is an evil.
You're muted, him.
Yeah, he was like, no. He said, you don't feel as though you're being too aggressive. He said, no. Oh, man, yo, that is hilarious. Pull up this man. He was like, look, do you recognize this? Do you recognize this?
Before you go,
he said, before you go, do you recognize this? When they're in the bedroom, in order to give off the implication of penetration, they take these things.
He pulled out a cute.
And have to substitute. That dude is hilarious, man. You don't feel as though you're being too aggressive, Pastor. Oh snap, yo.
No, he came ready. He went to the grocery store. He got a banana, a carrot, a cucumber. No, he came ready.
He was at the market. Oh man.
Pastor Semper argues that these are the instruments you use.
These are vegetables.
Yes.
Vino.
I eat this on
Yes.
my plate.
You eat them on your plate.
Yes.
You don't use them when you're having carnal knowledge.
Absolutely no, and SEMPA should stop misinforming the public.
Kati ono alimba. Me, I'm a counselor. I've counseled many of these. First of all, they start in secondary school.
Why don't you start with counseling other than being confrontational to this young man?
This one is an evangelist. This is a missionary of sodomy.
Can you justify that? Just a second. Can you justify? Let me give him a chance to respond. Pepe.
Just translate what
Pepe,
stuff is saying.
You are paid heavily to promote homosexuality in Uganda. What's your reaction?
It is not true. He claims I have a lot of money, I'm wearing fancy clothes and all that stuff. I do not even earn the amount of money he thinks. I do not even earn $100 a month or even annually. I do not make the money that he thinks that we make. I'm talking
just a second,
talking about promotion of homosexuality, recruitment and all those things. They do not exist. It's just the pastors and his group, their propaganda. Just to stop debate like this.
He called her a minister of sodomy, an evangelist of sodomy. Then he proceeded to eat the cucumber.
No, man, I mean, but it's the host. The host is like, this young man, like he trolling, man. Why are you being rude to this young man? Let him speak. Come on, man.
I don't watch the news, but if the news is more like that, I will probably watch more of it. Because that was hilarious. No, I mean, the thing is like what the pastor was saying, like all jokes aside, was absolutely true. Like he said that for them, it starts in the second grade where they start rolling out this kind of indoctrination to the kids, and they're targeting kids. And again, the LGBTs, the organization, the movement, so to speak, are very explicit about the need to teach gender fluidity to kids, because they're like, this is their plan. They're very explicit about it. It's not as if, myself, Blanche, and Heem are up here trying to give you some insider knowledge that nobody else is privy to. No, they are very clear about what it is they're trying to do, and it goes as far back as the early 1970s, late 60s, as I played earlier with that clip of Dennis Altman. Did anything stick out to you? Did anything else stick out to you in that video, Blanche?
Well, I would say this. She said that she was not promoting homosexuality because, again, she's going to use the word salad, and she's going to say I'm promoting human rights. Mm-hmm. So she kind of skirts around transgender rights. Now in America, though, she wouldn't be able to pull that. She's only pulling that over there now because it's not a prevalent thing. So she has to ease it in by saying human rights. Who would be against human rights? Now over here, she would have to literally say trans rights. Like she'd have to stand on that square of trans rights. She couldn't be ambiguous with human rights. She'd have to, she had to call people cis and all this kind of stuff. So I think that the human, like you said earlier about how they ease this stuff into, like with Joe Biden, I was saying that they both said this many times before, but now they're not saying that. It's the same with her. She's saying human rights now, but eventually if she gets some more power, she'd say trans rights.
Yeah, a moving of the goalpost.
And all that other stuff.
Yeah. What about you, Heem?
What I always find interesting with them is it's like, oh, I agreed to come up here, and I didn't want any. She was trying to say like I didn't want any type of pushback. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting any pushback. I wasn't expecting a negative experience I was expecting you. So within the mentality, within this training, within the mentality of it, you can tell they're primed for just for you to accept it. And that's what she was expecting when she got up there. It's for them to just accept it and maybe ask, do a little interview like, oh, what's it like? Da 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 da. She was expecting that, but when she got what she got, because I'm gonna tell you, I just want to think about the shock her mind went through when those first words came out of his mouth and said, "Why are you gay?" What was going through her mind? I want to know. I want to personally be there with some popcorn, and a comfy seat with my legs propped up, like a new movie just dropped, and just see what her mind was thinking when he said, "No, you are gay." I want to know how much panic was sent through her neurons inside her brain. How much highlighted activity on one of the little brain scans will be highlighted in her head once that statement came out. It'd just be interesting to hear, but they have already been primed to take the road with the least amount of resistance.
Right.
They don't even want to meet resistance. In fact, when you see those people meet resistance, they start to melt down.
Mm-hmm.
They start to melt down like a little child that's had its way for far too long without any type of correction or discipline. And actually, it's funny that you say this, and I'm understanding that a lot of the degeneracy in America is all rooted in the same thing. Because that's the same exact reaction I see in a lot of the kids I work with. How dare you speak against what I am and who I am? How dare you? That's what you're met with. And I'm starting to see that this is all dealing with the same spirit,
right,
across the board.
Right.
And it is the spirit. And I would also say this, like I said earlier, everything they're doing is really to control society. Because to me, for the most part, nobody really cares about someone's sexual orientation. They only care when you start infringing upon their daily life. Like nobody cares about someone being trans, bi, gay, or whatever. They only care when you in my driveway saying I have to announce this and that is just too much. Or like with the hockey player, he said he didn't want to wear the rainbow flag on the jersey. And my thing is, why should he have to? It's like in the NBA, who like wearing the Black Lives Matter T-shirt in the NBA. I think the one guy, Jonathan Isaac, he didn't wear it, right? He didn't wear it. But again,
with the Magic,
why should he have to wear it? If I don't want to wear it, I don't want to wear it. Yeah, with the Magic. But he didn't want to kneel. He didn't want to wear the shirt. But then he gets painted as the villain because he doesn't want to do it. And at the end of the day, what they're telling you is that you don't have a choice. You don't have free will. If you're telling me I have to wear the rainbow flag on my jersey, I have to use the pronouns, I have to let you into the bathroom, like pretty soon, what's next? You see what I'm saying? Like, so at the end of the day, to me, their goal and agenda is not about inclusion or equity. Their goal is about control, to control society. So you have a small fraction of society control the masses.
Yeah. So in Genesis, the command that's given to Adam is to have dominion over the earth and subdue it. Those of us who are repentant, remorseful children of God, have we done a bad job of following that command? And is that why, in your opinion, we're seeing this kind of domination that Blanche is talking about that's being carried out by these types?
No, it's not that we're doing a bad job. It's just the system we're functioning in. The system that we're functioning in, the American system, the systems all around the world, are not made for you to is not made for God's law to thrive. You cannot. It's going to be extremely hard for you to keep God's law, to keep God's standards and statutes in the system that we're functioning under, because it's not made for that. It's made for you to actually step away from God. It's not until you completely separate from the system will you find yourself in actual back at the beginning. If you think about it,
Yeah.
once you separate from society, you go back to the beginning. What is the beginning? Land, animals, trees. You have nothing. You start back at the beginning. You're back in the Garden of Eden. Once you separate from this sinful Wade system, you go back to the beginning. It's a restart. It's a refresh. It's not that we're not trying to do, because I know I sense it in myself. I sense it in myself, the longing to subdue, the longing to take control, the longing to be a leader when I function in God. But the system that I'm in, and this happens to me a lot at work, as I'm just trying to break down logical things for these kids, the system that I'm functioning under, no one else around me agrees. Everybody else around me, they're like, but I'm not trying to hear none of that. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know what the scriptures say explicitly. You know what I'm saying? It's the system. The system, you have to separate from it.
Yeah. So when
And
you
that's a
say,
realization a lot of people are going to have to come to.
right. Yeah, I agree. So when you say systems, you of course are talking about legislation, regulations, and red tape and parameters that are put in place. I would add to that just systematic culture as well, like cultural quote unquote norms that have been shifted over time. What some might call a free Western society. So with that being said, do you believe that this is kind of the double-edged sword of living in a free Western world? In other words, people having kind of unfettered access to any and everything they want. They're being told by their teachers at school and by celebrities, you can be who you want to be, you can be who you really are, and all this other nonsense. Is this kind of the double-edged sword of that? And what is how must the man of God, the faithful man, function in such a society when he's ordered by God not only to subdue it in the Old Testament but also in the New Testament, to go to the ends of the earth, baptizing people in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit?
I like the point you made, because it just hit something, struck something for me. I hadn't even noticed this, even with being a believer. Remember, because the goal is to make everyone a global citizen. The goal is to unite everybody through one thing, and that's life or death. Even down to the minute detail, and I hadn't even noticed this, and this is when you got to understand who you're playing against. You're even a global citizen as a believer, because I could actually say, hey, I want to follow the law to the T, but other people who identify as Christian, right, or identify as someone who follows some of the laws of the Bible, can also identify with me. Just the same way as people who are brown skinned will always be black in America. If you catching my drift.
Yeah.
So even if I'm following everything to a T, someone who is not can still identify with me in the system. And that's our problem. That's why you have to come to the realization you have to completely separate. And you don't even have to do it. You don't even have to forcibly do it. The law will do it for you. The Spirit of God will do that for you. The book will do that for you. As you read those things, if you follow all those things, you'll find this in Galatians chapter 5, verses is that 18 to 23? It gives you the works of the flesh and the fruits of the spirit. If you follow everything that's the fruits of the spirit, you're already functioning aside from society. You're already starting to be drawn out and set apart. Because no one's expecting you to act that way. You don't have any support of being that way within the system. So naturally you're going to be separated. Even down to just the tiniest minute details. I find myself having to compromise sometimes. And I said I wouldn't have to compromise if I wasn't here. You know, even just being around people normally. I can't be around people normally and without someone looking at me and be like, man, what you think you better than us? You know, I just heard this yesterday. You know, when the way you carried yourself, you carried yourself like you was on a high horse. And I was like, because I like having standards, because I wanted to be better, because I wanted to be a better man. This is when you start to realize that if you don't separate, you'll find yourself in hell wherever you go. You'll find yourself in turmoil wherever you go. And I really do actually understand why Jesus took his time to go elsewhere. He would have to like totally like remove himself from society at times and go speak with the Father. He had to have a communion alone with the Father because of, I'm pretty sure, because of how people treated him in society. He came down walking fully in the law, and people were looking at him all like, are you crazy? Who does that? What are you doing? And that frustrates people. That causes a frustration. That causes a hell within yourself to the point you feel like you're insane because you're doing what's right, but what's right is not supported in this system. You'll find but if you do follow God, you'll find yourself naturally being pulled away from it. But to me, honestly, my ideal like situation is like I completely separate. We make our own society somewhere else on some land. And this is why you understand why God took the Israelites out of Egypt and threw them through the wilderness and then gave them a land in which they could uphold his laws to the fullest. It would be their land. No one could question them. And they would be the top of the earth.
Very well said. Blanche, what is your response to the whole double-edged sword comment that I made?
I think that, you know, with free will comes great responsibility. And if you think about it, in a free society like America, let's say, for example, it would be okay if there weren't people in positions of power pushing agendas and propaganda. See, the problem is when they took prayer out of school, that should have been where the country unified and said no. Everybody should have came together and said, you're not taking prayer out of school. But in order to push these agendas, you can't have children going to school praying every morning. So you got to get rid of the prayer, because you think about integration with the power of prayer. Imagine, say, a black teacher praying with an all-white classroom, or a white teacher praying with the all-black classroom, or an integrated classroom praying with each other. It's kind of hard to keep this whole stuff going alive if they're praying every day in school. So you have to kind of remove God. And to me, that was the major turning point in America, because right after that, you had the civil rights movement really take off. 1964, the Civil Rights Bill was signed. 1962, they take prayer out of schools. And so I just believe that should have been the moment that people said no, because even with us having free will in America, you still have forces at play trying to sway the people one way or the other. Even with the LGBTQ movement, the whole movement even got pushed by saying that they're people too. We got to accept them. We're all the same on the inside. Like, all this kind of rhetoric makes you think that, okay, it makes sense to the average person. You know, they are human. We got to love them. We got to accept them. But they have an agenda attached to them. No different than Black Lives Matter having an agenda attached to it. No different than the climate change. So again, I don't think that America per se has ever been the problem. I just think that the folks that are in charge was pushing it, because for the most part, if you think about it, everybody pretty much gets along. Like folks pretty much are able to coexist in a pretty peaceful manner. Like you see somebody, you speak or don't speak, and keep it moving. But these powers that be is what causes the problem. And what Kuhim is saying about separation is right, because the problem is that they're never going to stop doing this. Like they're never going to stop this constant trying to push us to this, certain type of, and think about it. And I tell people, you all think that white people are bad and racist. I said, you have no idea what it looks like when all of the LGBTQs are in charge. That's a different type of movement and agenda and oppression, because it's not about your skin color. It's about what you innately are. So they're going to tell you that if you think you're a man, you're wrong. If you think you're a woman, you're wrong. That's something different than race. You can't blend in by not, what I'm saying? Like, you can say I identify as, or I don't want to be quote unquote black, or I don't want to be white, I'm a person. They're saying no, you're cis and you're over here. And so I just think that we haven't seen what's coming, and we can only see a glimpse of it if the one guy got on TV and said the guy that didn't want to wear the flag on his jersey, the team should be fined $1 million. He shouldn't be able to play. Like, just think about how extreme it is for just not wearing something on your jersey. They want to go to the extreme of everything. So I don't think I think the idea of America was great. The implementation of it was horrible, because, while everybody's running around being free, nobody did any checks and balances with the people that was in charge. And now we're in a situation where the chickens coming home to roost. And so now we're in a state where, on one hand, we've seen them infringe upon your rights. And then on the other hand, we see a group of people over here. And I'm not saying everybody part of the movement is bad. I'm saying the agenda behind the LGBTQ movement is not about us being free and having liberty. It's about us bowing down to what they want. And I don't think people are really prepared for that.
Yeah, both of those were very, very good takes. And I couldn't have said it better myself, so I won't add to it. This is the last clip, because Blanche, you had mentioned kids and prayer in school, and she was actually asked about kids and targeting young kids, and this was her response to that. Here we go.
Why do you recruit young boys and girls into this gay activism?
There is no such thing as recruitment of young people or adults or anything like that. What is recruitment, first of all? When you ask me about recruitment, what do you mean by recruitment?
I mean, trying to put them into your system, teaching them what to do, how to go about it.
We do not do that. And actually, what has been happening is, since these allegations of recruitment have been coming out, there's so many people who have been, contacting us, seeking help.
So, like, watching that clip and listening to her blatantly lie like that, it makes you wonder whether or not the Ugandan people consume Western media, because I know for a fact the BBC has covered in a very romantic way, in a very glamorous way, the teaching of LGBT to kids, and BBC kind of prides itself on being an international news organization. And you see constantly with the drag queen story hour, and that's not even scratching the surface of what's going on here in the United States and the way that they glamorize it as well. I played that video earlier from Australian news in the 1970s, and there's a lot of similarities between that newscast and what is going on with this Ugandan newscast, in terms of you have the so-called expert of a specific movement talking about, well, no, we just want for freedom, and we just want for human rights. So there's there's striking similarities between the two. It's not as if the LGBT organization in Uganda happens to be different than what's going on in the way of LGBT in the West. They're all the same, and they're all following this exact same playbook. So for her to say that, oh, we're not recruiting children, it's a bald-faced lie. But lying is part and parcel to this kind of Marxist, globalist, Satanist agenda, or agenda. And I know I talk a lot about Martin Luther King, but there are a lot of people who believe that no, Martin Luther King wasn't a Marxist. He said he wasn't a Marxist, as if it's impossible for him to lie, as if it's impossible for Marxists to lie. No, like Fidel Castro literally said that he wasn't a communist on his quest to obtaining power over Cuba. It wasn't until after he secured power that he finally said he was a communist. And so lying about what your agenda is and how you're rolling out that agenda, that is not it's not something that these people are above, if that makes sense. So go ahead, Blanche.
Yeah, there's this book I got at Goodwill, and I saw it online, and I just, by the grace of God, saw this book at Goodwill, and it's called It's Perfectly Normal. And it's the 20th year anniversary of the book. And it's basically changing bodies, growing up, sex, and sexual health. It sounds pretty normal, but if you actually go into the book, it starts off with, knowing your body, and then it goes into the different sexualities and it actually shows pictures of same sex, all that kind of stuff. But the cover of the book is interesting because the cover of the book has a girl with flowers, right, kissing another girl, but the girl she's kissing looks like a boy. And so they swap so they make the girly girl give the tomboyish type of girl the flowers. And then the kids on the side of them are like looking and making fun of them. So like the cover of It's Perfectly Normal already starts out with the whole agenda for the children. And so when she said they don't recruit, I think they go beyond recruiting. I think it's really solicitation, because they're trying to, I guess, quote unquote, show these children how to be trans or that's the old indoctrination process. Like if the three of us went into a school and taught sex education to 5-year-olds, we'd be arrested. And it's just a fact. Like they would not let us go into a school and do it. But if the three of us were in drag, we could go into the schools and do it. And to me, that's already separating a tier of society where they're allowed to do stuff that we can't do. Of course, we don't want to do it, but I guess I'm saying all this to say that it's beyond recruiting. I believe it's indoctrinating, it's soliciting, it's programming. It's beyond recruiting. It's not even recruiting is a mild way to say it. What they're doing with a simple children's book, what they're doing is really programming these children. Because if I don't feel normal, if I feel strange, or I feel, which kids do all day long, then that means you're this. Not just I feel different, or you feel different because you're this. You're either this, or this. And so, yeah, I think it's beyond recruiting. And when it comes to MLK, he's the black savior. And so he's almost untouchable. Even a friend of mine, I told her that he was a communist, and she's like, not really trying to hear it. But like you said that one time, Chad, we never heard him talking about the gospel, the actual coming to Christ, the actual being born again, the actual gift. And I asked her, I said, when have you heard him say that? If he's a reverend, every speech should have ended with him bringing people to Christ. Just like you go to any church, the invitation to the fellowship, so yeah, anyway.
100%. What about you, Haim?
I love the way you put that, Blanche. That was really good, man. That is true. You never hear Martin Luther King, even with that "I Have a Dream" speech. Never hear him talking about that gospel, man, that word. And me, I can't go with live without talking about the word. So, you know,
Right.
especially if
Right.
you're rooted in God, because that's where you're getting your wisdom from. You know, the question is, where are you getting your wisdom from if you can't even quote God in anything that you say? When you're talking about important things that's going to change people's lives, that's going to change people's lives. You're right. It's indoctrination, what they're doing. But it reminds me of something. You gotta understand your opponent. Your opponent is trying to. He wants to be like the Most High. So if the Most High loves to use the youth, then what does Satan want to use? He's going to want to use the youth. I saw in the Bible it says, "Flee youthful lust,"
Mm-hmm.
and it made me think, what does fleeing youthful lust do? And it reminded me of Solomon. Fleeing youthful lust, you know what that creates? That creates a young person with a young body, strong, prime, with an old mind. And that's what God loves, right? Because that old mind is only going to get sharpened even more, but that old mind is going to bring out the greatest of potential because it's being used in a young body. But what does Satan want? Satan wants a young mind in an old body, because
Mm-hmm.
what youthful lust is going to do, youthful lust is going to age you. You live fast, you're going to die young. So it's going to age your body, but it's going to keep your mind as a child. As I'm seeing a lot of my friends from high school, they it's only been what, hasn't been 10 years yet since I graduated high school. And some of them already lost all their hair. They got children that look busted, dusty, rusty. They looking crazy out this joint, man. And they look like zombies. They got no life in them. And that's what Satan is trying to create. But the flip side of having a old body with a young mind, and that person is actually young, is that you start to get to the tree. He wants to get to the tree.
Right.
But in order to get to the tree, you got to deal with the branches. And you'll see that as people cut down trees. If you ever study people cutting down trees, I've cut down trees within my years working in the park service. You deal with the branches first, and then you get down to the root. The tree itself is one huge root. And that base of the tree is the branches, is its main vine. It's just a huge vine, and it's a root. He's trying to get down to the root and chop down the tree. And that's what you're going to get with young people with that get into youthful lust. You're going to get old bodies with young minds, but those young minds, because they're young, is going to start to reach to the younger ones, which is the ones that are like 5, 6, 7. You go on TikTok and you see them parents on there doing TikTok with their little 7-year-old children. It lets me know, oh, you've been conquered, you've been got, you're done, you're toast. You're
Yeah, I know
toast
a
at this
pastor
point.
that does that.
Not only is your mommy a TikToker, right? Your mommy's a TikToker. That means that the programming got to your mommy, but your mommy is 18. How old is the child? You know what I'm saying? Mommy's 20, 25.
Yeah.
But a child is 5 years old. Ooh, that means
Now that sounds
your
like
hope
Joan
has
Baez.
been grasped. Mm.
It sounds like Joan Baez, an old woman with a young mind. I actually got rid of my TikTok. I mean, I wasn't posting craziness on it, but it was just like, I don't know. There was no life there, you know. There
That's
just
how I
wasn't.
feel. Yeah, and that's how.
I only get on to watch Blanche's stuff. Blanche posts a couple videos. I only get on there when Blanche posts.
Yeah, but I got off of TikTok because they kept banning my videos, and like you said, Chaz, it don't feel. I don't know. TikTok don't have the same energy as like Twitter and Instagram. I don't know. It just don't feel the same. Or YouTube. It's just I don't know.
So I got one more clip to play, and then we'll get your responses, and then we'll call it a night. Here we go.
not everyone practices this. And the whole promotion of this propaganda of
How do you
of
feel when
sodomy
two men
and
go to
sexual-
bed and
That
start
is-
romancing? How do you feel?
That is none of my business. We actually make good friends, that we're actually good children of our parents. They do not want you to see that part.
Do you feel normal?
I am absolutely normal. I am absolutely normal. I smile, I laugh, I fall sick, I get well, I seek
You
help.
exercise conjugal
I-
rights, do you?
I told you earlier on, I am not. But I do. I have, and I will when I choose to, yes.
How will you do it?
What do you mean, how will I do it?
Because nature cannot allow you.
What do you mean nature cannot allow me? I am attracted to someone sexually. That is nature allowing me.
His face.
Yo, did y'all hear that? Did you hear what he just said?
What was
That's
that?
a big key right there. Nature will not allow you to do that. But you know what will, though? Science.
Technology will.
Yep.
Technology will. But even when he said
That's
it,
why they're gonna go for the robots.
even when he said it, she got offended. What you mean nature won't allow? Like she got offended. Like what you mean nature won't allow me? Like she can go up against nature. Like what you mean?
How will you do it? No, I mean,
How will you do?
and what he was asking was like, okay, I mean, everybody knows the basic anatomy of a man and a woman, a penis and a vagina, and how those two, when they come together, the possibility of reproduction, that's the natural way. That's, of course, what he was talking about. But then I don't know if you guys caught her answer. She said, what do you mean is nature won't allow me to? I see a woman I like and I'm attracted to her. That's nature allowing me.
Yeah, that's nature.
Like, no, you're talking about two completely different things.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, okay, let's go there. You're talking about your being attracted to somebody and how that's nature. The Bible says that there's a way that seems right to a man, but its end is death. So you can be naturally attracted to something, but that doesn't necessarily make it right. It could mean that God gave you over to your reprobate mind because you denied and rejected him. That's what that could mean. It's not, you know what I mean? So anyway, I just found that fascinating.
I honestly think that she's not having sex because, and I'm gonna be real, I don't think she's at peace with this. You know, I think she's going through all this, but the fact that she's being abstinent is very telling to me. I don't think she's really at peace and on board with all of this, because you got to think, if you're saying to yourself you're a man, but you look in the mirror and you see a woman, there has to be some level of contention with how you look. So whether she wants to go through the surgery before she does it, I just feel like there's a lot of stuff probably going through her head because she wants to look like a man. And the saddest thing I see is the women that get the surgery where they cut the breasts off and they have two big scars. And it's just like, I don't know, man. I just feel bad for them because I know they're not going to ever be able to come back from it. You know, and then I saw the surgery for the fake anatomy for a woman, and it's just like a limp noodle. It's just like it's hang, like it's useless. Like it literally is just there for aesthetics. It's not any kind of purpose being served.
It doesn't erect.
It's just a dead. It's just like an elephant that had a stroke. Yeah, it's just like an elephant in a stroke, and it's just, the trunk just hanging. You know, it don't lift up or nothing. It's just hanging. You know? It's useless.
Wow.
So yeah, it's great.
All right, Heem, I'll give you the last word.
Lance hit right on the head, man. You know they not happy. And one of the biggest lies in this world is people without God in their life trying to convince you that they're happy.
Right.
And that's what leads a lot of people astray today in this world. And sometimes I catch myself looking at, you know, pictures, just the life that we live is a lonely one. You know what I'm saying? Women my age, you can forget women my age liking what I do or talk about, right? It could be a lonely road. And I'll look at all these videos of people with girls, and they about to have a family, they get married, and I'm just like, thank God. Like, I'm like, dang God, you gonna look out for the kid? But then I gotta remember that as I look through these people's profiles, they don't have God in their life.
Right.
So these pictures of grandeur and these bright lights and stuff that I'm seeing, it's all fabricated. It's not real. They're not happy. You cannot be happy without God. It doesn't work that way. And that's the truth. And it is not until you see the behind the scenes do you bring the truth to that statement. But these people are not happy. That's why they have to be out in the street constantly yelling, hey, accept me, because they don't even accept themselves. They're not at peace. We minding our business. But even though we minding our business, you got to see your flag hanging there. You got to see your flag hanging in every window. You got to see all of the TV shows with representation for you in it. You know what that's kind of reminding me of? Blackness. You're not happy. Blackness.
Yeah.
Blackness. No matter how much you achieve, no matter how much you see achieved, it's never enough. You always need more. You know what that also reminds me of? Satan. Satan was what? He was the master chief angel in heaven, an archangel. And that wasn't enough. He needed more. So we know who the author of all these programmings and stuff is. It's Satan. It always leads you back to Satan.
And you know what? It's funny. I want to say, cool hear me think about something. You ever notice that when these riots and protests happen, they never talk about LGBTQ businesses being destroyed?
That's true.
Like, think about it. We've never heard of their business getting touched. That is just, I just thought about that.
They destroy the black-owned businesses, though.
You're right. They gonna tear them up. You're right.
Yeah. They were stealing raw chicken. I was watching your live earlier. What was that place called?
Dude, they stole that man. Golden chicken.
Yeah, golden chicken.
Dude, they stole raw chicken. I'm like, and you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? Hold up. Do y'all know what's crazy about that video? All the Hispanic were stealing from like the chain stores, but the black folks were going into the black businesses.
Yeah,
like it wasn't Hispanics going to the black business; it was the black people going to the black businesses, and they go to the back to steal some chicken. I said, "My goodness."
They stole the chicken. They stole the grease. They stole the breading.
Come on, man! It's like. And then the dude, and then he was like, and then he caught him in the back of the kitchen, and he was like, "Y'all know this is a black-owned business." Like, we didn't know. He was like, "Y'all know this is black-owned. Stop playing. I know y'all. Stop playing with me. We didn't know it was black-owned. Stop playing."
Hey, but insurance is going to take care of it, so it's all good.
Oh yeah, you got insurance.
Isn't that what Nicole Hannah Jones said? Whenever I think it was the Summer of Love. Whenever black people were burning down Target and stuff, and they were like, well, these corporations have insurance, so it's all good. What a mess. Anyway, it's the hour's late. Thank y'all for coming on. This was a good one. You are gay. I should probably change the title to that. All right, y'all be blessed. Have a good one.
Hold on, Chad. Next time, Chad, I'm gonna have some Ethernet cables because my picture looks horrible. So I'm gonna have to go through the Ethernet route.
Okay. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and next time I'll be a little bit more rested, man. Yo, I did 3 weeks straight. Dog, I know I look busted.
Oh yeah,
I did 3 weeks
using the
straight up
tree.
that joint. Let me tell y'all, look, I got a sprained left arm and a sprained right shoulder. I did nothing but fight up there with them kids, man.
Wow.
They get
No,
worse and worse.
Not our children. Oh no, they're bright young minds. Oh no, our children never. Oh, they would never do that.
Let me tell you, the white kids be sitting to the side, just like watching it all happen. They just be
You should video that actually.
black kids all in the middle.
You should video. I mean,
going crazy.
no, it's kids, so you might not get away with it. But like, I would love, and I've been wanting to do this, was do a montage of black people just acting a complete and utter fool, and then the camera cuts to somebody who's not black watching it go on, just in shock. Like, I want to put together a montage just so black people can see how other people see them when they act that way. I've never seen anything like that done, but I'm hoping somebody would, if I don't get to it first, just put together a montage, black people acting a fool, camera just cuts to somebody who's not black, just watching them watch black people act a complete nut, and just to help, you know, black folks see, like, this is what people think of you whenever you act that way. So, anyway.
You know, you mentioned that, but you mentioned that, Chaz. I remember there was some guys at the gym fighting in the parking lot, and a white guy pulls his camera phone out and starts filming. I'm like, why y'all getting mad at him filming y'all fighting when y'all do the same thing? Like, y'all film
Right.
like, why can't he enjoy the show? Like, why he got to be the one that put it, like, he can't record it, he can't enjoy it? No, because y'all know he thinks y'all crazy, that's why. He thinks you all are nuts.
Like, that's the thing, though. Like, I mean, that's the thing, is like, they know what they're doing is wrong, and if they didn't, then they wouldn't care that they're being filmed. You know what I mean? Like, if they didn't, if they knew, if they genuinely thought that what they were doing was okay, and that this is just part of, like, my existence, then they wouldn't mind somebody pulling out a camera, because all the camera would do is cause them to show out all the more. But by virtue of the fact that they are yelling at somebody for filming them, for me, all that does is expose the fact that you know what you're doing is wrong. You know that, I mean, just the mere nature that you have guilt in this shows that you know what you're doing is wrong. But there are people who, unfortunately, when seeing a camera, it causes them to, like, you know, show out all the more. And to that extent, I'm thinking, okay, well, unfortunately, your mind is gone, and it, you know, only an act of God will cause you to repent and come out of that darkness, come out of that fog, you know?
Right.
So the platform that I'm using right now, the streaming software, is called Ecamm.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I use it tonight is because I got an internet booster. And so I was told that this internet booster will cause the stream to go flawlessly, that nobody will be glitching or anything like that. I was obviously misled, and like a fool, I went ahead and bought it. And obviously, you know, I've heard people say that some of it was glitchy. The audio in some parts were glitchy. Some of the picture was glitchy. So next time I'm just going to use Zoom, because I've had success with Zoom and the picture is clearer with Zoom. So, but yeah, thank y'all for sticking it out with me for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, y'all have a good night.
Appreciate you, man.
All right,
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Take care.
All right, you too, man.
All right.